Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Dean from Electronisounds. Stick around. Today we're going to talk about using 5-pin MIDI with your iPads and your iPhones.
Electronisounds Audio, the YouTube channel for you.
So I've got lots of ideas for future videos on how we're going to be syncing things up and using the iPad with some external gear. And I want to make sure that we're all synced up and connected up so that I can refer to this video in future videos. 5-pin MIDI with your iPads, guys. Oh yeah. There's a few different options for how you can connect up 5-pin MIDI to your iPad. This is the stuff you're going to need, and it may seem a little bit intimidating at first. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear all this away, and we're going to start with the simplest method first. Now let's assume that you're not using an audio interface with your iPad. Let's assume that you're either using headphones with your iPad or that you're just taking a headphone out from your iPad to the mixer, right? This is assuming you've got an iPad or an iPhone that has a headphone jack. If you don't, then you'll need to skip this step and go right to the audio interface step. But this is a Apple brand Lightning to USB 3 adapter. And what we'll do is we'll plug this right into the iPad here. And it's going to allow us to use something like this here, the iRig MIDI 2 from IK Multimedia. And it's got a USB plug on one side, and it's got our 5-pin MIDI in, out, and through on the other side. We can plug this directly into the iPad, and that's as far as we need to go. We can immediately start plugging in our synthesizers or our groove boxes and whatnot that have 5-pin MIDI directly into the iPad, and you can start communicating this way. If you're going to be working for an extended period of time, you're probably going to want to supply some power to the iPad. This is a really long Lightning to USB cable. It's an Anchor brand USB cable. I'm going to put a link to all of these little devices and tidbits underneath the video. If you guys are interested in checking out a super long USB cable, I highly recommend these. They're real sturdy and they're braided and whatnot. And what you're going to do is you're either going to plug this into wall power. I often like to use a big USB battery for something like this to avoid any sort of like an AC ground loop in the system or any sort of extra noise and whatnot. So with a setup like this, you'll just take a headphone out from the iPad, and we've got 5-pin MIDI coming into and out of the iPad. But let's say that you're a little bit, further along in your, musical journey per se, and you're using an audio interface with the iPad. Let me switch clips and we'll go ahead and get all this stuff plugged into the iPad, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by connecting up the audio interface to the iPad. The first thing that we're going to need for this is we're going to need ourselves a powered USB hub. And we're going to take the USB end of that powered USB hub and plug it directly into the Apple USB to Lightning 3 adapter there. Okay, we can go ahead and plug our battery right in so that we can get power here, okay? And then we'll just take our iRig and we're going to plug this directly into the audio hub, right? And we're going to take, where did I put that cable? Sorry about that. We're going to take this extra USB cable here and we're going to go ahead and plug in the audio interface. Make sure we're plugging it in all the way there. We're going to plug the audio interface directly into the powered USB hub as well. This hub I really like. It's from Anchor. It's got quite a few connections, so you can plug quite a few MIDI controllers or whatnot into the iPad. And it also has 3 slots at the bottom, which are just for charging your iPhone or your iPad, and it's kind of like a high-speed charger. I really like these from Anchor. Again, there's a link in the description if you're interested in picking up something like this for yourself. So what we'll need to do is we'll just need to, plug in the powered USB hub. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop down under here and plug this in for us. Okay, and now we've got power to the USB hub, which is supplying power to our iRig, and we've got battery power here to the iPad, and we're good to go. And what you've got here is, your audio from the iPad is going to be coming out of the audio interface. And anything with 5-pin MIDI, we can go ahead and plug in here. Now, I know a lot of the new stuff these days comes with USB, and you're not going to need to use 5-pin MIDI. But if you're using, like, an old school groove box or something like this that does not have a USB connection on the back, the only way to get this to talk to your iPad and get things syncing is to use something like this. Again, this is the iRig MIDI 2 from IK Multimedia, and it gives you that option to get 5-pin MIDI in, out, and through to your iPad or to your iPhone. The bonus about these iRig MIDI 2s is that they also work with my desktop system, and they also work with my laptop systems. So it's not like you're investing in something that's only going to work with your iPad. It's actually going to, be usable in the rest of your studio setup as well. So let's say we actually want to go ahead and get this old groove box synced up with the iPad, right? We're going to need to start by supplying power to the groove box. Fire that up, and we'll go ahead and connect for now, we'll connect the MIDI out of our iRig MIDI 2, and we're going to run that into the in of this Electronisounds groove box here. And what we'll do is, say like you're using an app like per se, okay, you're going to need to tell whichever, device you're using. If you're trying to tempo sync a groove box per se, you'll need to tell the device to listen to an external MIDI clock signal. In this case, I'll just go to the global settings here, and I can just scroll down a little bit to get to the clock and turn that clock to an external setting. And now, in an app like to get it to recognize, the iRig MIDI 2 and start sending MIDI clock over here, all we need to do is tap on the tempo, and we'll get up some options here. We're going to click on the 3 dots down here at the bottom, and we're going to select send MIDI clock. We're going to click that on, right? We'll go back there, and we'll see that we have an option to literally select the iRig MIDI 2. So we'll check that there, and we'll make sure that we're sending on. And it says, MIDI clock is mainly useful for synchronizing external hardware. And that's actually, what we're doing here. So we'll say OK. And we'll, select iRig MIDI 2, send MIDI clock on. And basically, all I should have to do at this point is press play over here on and our MIDI clock should start the Electronisounds, going. I don't have the audio plugged in right now, but you can see that the tempo is actually, moving along. The purpose of this demonstration is just to show you guys how to get everything actually set up and routed. You know what I'm saying? It's not about audio today. So that's all there is to it, guys. You're just going to go to that little, setup inside of You're going to click the dots. You're going to go to the send MIDI clock. You're going to literally choose the iRig MIDI 2, and this simple as that. As long as your device itself is being told to receive MIDI clock, that's all there is to it. Now, another app that I like to, use with something like this is the Launchpad app from Amplify. Yeah, it used to be from Novation, but Amplify is kind of an offshoot, division of that. From Novation per se. And this is really handy because you can load your own loops into this, or you can use, their, plethora of, sample content here and, sample packs and whatnot. And you can really, especially with the groove box type of, syncing here, use these to sync some loops on the iPad. You can even load your own loops inside of an app like this. But what we can do here is if we click on the little sandwich icon, the 3 dots, and we go to settings, right? Over here, we're going to see that same type of option, MIDI sync output. And by default, it'll be disabled, but we can click on that, and we can choose the iRig MIDI 2 as our destination. We're going to enable the timing clock. And that's as simple as that. Now it puts a little playhead up over here so that, if I'm playing anything in the app, this tempo is now, when I press play to the MIDI, it's going to, on the next downbeat of the next bar, it's going to, in fact, start, your external MIDI clock. And we can see here the lights, moving along here. So that would be in time. It's not about the audio today, guys. It's just about showing you how to get it connected. I really, really like this iRig MIDI 2 from IK Multimedia. Multimedia. Again, I want to stress that it not only works with iPhones and iPads, but it also works with my desktop system on PC and my laptops on PC. It'll also work with Macs as well. The reason that I'm not showing you guys this connected to the iPhone is because that's what I'm using for filming right now. So I actually have two of these units, and using two of these units in this fashion, if you double the setup, you can have two iPads talking to each other via 5-pin MIDI, or you can have an iPad talking to a desktop system via 5-pin MIDI. Again, a lot of stuff that you get these days is going to have USB, like for instance, the circuit has a USB, and you don't need to use the 5-pin MIDI. But for any of the older devices that don't have a USB, connection, this is a really easy way to get, set up and synced up, guys. Until next time, thanks for watching. Just one more time, super quick. It's the powered USB hub, which is supplying power to everything, right? You've got AC power. This is plugged into the wall, okay? You've got the iRig MIDI 2 plugged into that USB hub, and you've also got the audio interface plugged into the USB hub. So now that's talking to the iPad. We're using the Lightning to USB 3 adapter, and that allows us to plug in a separate input there and get power. We're using a USB battery to supply power to the iPad while we're working. And we're taking the 5-pin MIDI from the iRig MIDI 2. I'm taking the out into the, Groovebox's MIDI in. And then when I press play over here on the iPad, it'll start the MIDI clock on whatever I've got, plugged in. And you can have, multiple devices chained together. You can use MIDI routers if you have, more devices that you need to get plugged in. Thanks for watching, guys. One last quick note, guys. Let's say that you're using the Novation Audio Hub 2x4 interface, which has a built-in USB hub to the front. In this case, we would skip the powered USB hub entirely because it's built into the Audio Hub 2x4, and we would just take the iRig MIDI 2 and we would just plug that directly into the face of the Novation 2x4, and that's going to give you, that's all you need to do. You don't need to do an extra powered USB hub because the Novation audio hub is literally a powered USB hub in itself. But these are discontinued now and are getting to be a little bit harder to track down, which is why I did not show this by default. We just showed a really common Focusrite Scarlett interface, which works really well with the iPads also, and I do highly recommend this interface. Really good one. Thanks for watching, guys. There's a whole lot more stuff coming soon. Make sure you're following me on my other social media as well. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook as Electronisounds. Lots of extra content being posted on those platforms as well. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching.
That's just my style. That's just my style.